and welcome to the Warmness Machine podcast. My name is Lindsay, and this is where I discuss my fiber arts journey. I'm really excited to share some of my finished projects with you. To give you a little bit of background about me, I am originally from Detroit, but right now me and my family live in Maryland, about an hour away from DC. So yeah. We love it out here. It's expensive though. But then again, what's not expensive? Wages are stagnant but prices of everything keep going up. So, we really need to just pay people more so that we can have nice things. But, don't get me started. Okay. My first degree is in political science. Boom, boom. My second is in teaching English as a second language, which was my profession. I have 2 little ones and a doggy and a partner, and so that's it. That's my quick, fast intro for you, because I had a little bit of coffee, and I don't usually drink coffee, and now I know why. I think we all know why, right? So let's get into it. I have a little list. It's down there, but I remember what's on it. So the first thing we're going to talk about are finished objects. The second thing is my spinning. And the last thing is my long-term projects, which I only have one long-term project. So let's get into it. Okay, so what am I wearing? I am wearing the Florence shawl pattern. It is a pattern from Fancy Tiger Crafts, but the designer's name is Emily Platzer. And I found this pattern because I had a little bit of yarn. I had some hand spun. So the color parts, let me just lift it up. So the color parts are my hand spun, and the dark gray parts are hand spun that I purchased at the Fredrick Fiber Festival earlier this year. And it is 100% alpaca, and my hand spun is 100% Corriedale from Akara Yarns in the colorway Enchilada Night. I love this pattern. I made a bunch of mistakes. You probably see them all if you're an experienced knitter. But guess what? I don't make things to be perfect. Never, 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 never. And especially when you're a beginner, you kind of get in this kind of zone where it's not amazing. What am I doing? Why would it be amazing? You just learned yesterday. So I'm trying to be very kind to myself about my making with my knitting, because knitting, I'm definitely a beginner, but I love this shawl. I wear this shawl everywhere. I wear it all day long. It just rests so nice, and the alpaca mixed with the Corriedale is just so soft. I love it. I do. So that's my first one, my first finished object. My second finished object, socks. I made Tin Can Knits Rye Light sock for my daughter, who's little, but it ended up fitting my son. So it was supposed to be a toddler size. Maybe these are not a toddler foot. Well, they fit my son. They fit my son's foot, but I'm coming to terms with the fact that I think I'm a loose knitter, and I don't want to be a loose knitter. I want to be an average knitter. I think I'm a loose crocheter. Crochet is my first craft that I learned. I learned it from my great-grandmother when I was 5. And then my godmother taught me how to sew, which I hope to get back into next year in 2023, because I have one pattern and I just want to make it and kind of get back into the groove of things. So, but these socks this was the second sock. This is the first sock. You can see I kind of was twisting my stitches, which I was doing with this too. I'm twisting my stitches because I'm purling wrong. I eventually figured out how to purl correctly in the middle of this sock, which is why it's so loose right here and everywhere else. So I don't know what to do. I don't really, because this is tight and this is loose. I don't want to go down a needle size. So should I buy wooden needles? Right now, the needles that I'm using are, when I first started knitting, I read somewhere that like just buy a set instead of buying one needle at a time. And so I do have 1 or 2 sets of DPNs and some straight needles over there, but I bought the Chiagu metal needles. And I talked to the lady at the yarn store down the street, and she was saying that I can't get wooden needles in the size 0 because they'll snap. Okay, so I mean, I need a 0. I'm working with the 1s, these little tiny things, and I went down a size. I'm sure this can all be fixed if I did some calculations and figured out what would work best and then just did some calculations. But some of us are not trying to do too many calculations, and right now, I don't know enough about knitting to do that. However, Earth Tones Girl, I already have another sock on the needles, but Earth Tones Girl, I have her pattern here for a No Fear shorty socks. I know she talks about swatching. I know she does. I don't want to swatch yet. I don't want to swatch. This is nice yarn. I want to just make the shorties. I think I'll do it after I have a few more socks under my belt. At any rate, this is the small size, which I think is too big because my knitting is super loose. I'm just a loosey-goosey. So I might need to. And I've cast on these little things 5 times. I've casted this on 5 times and ripped it back 5 times because I keep twisting the stitches. It's just so difficult. I've gotten to a rhythm and I understand it now, but I'm still like, this is too big. So I'm just gonna have to do some calculations. I have a membership with the School of Sweet Georgia, not an endorsement or anything like that. I like them though. And there is a sock knitting course. So I think what I should be doing is just measuring my foot and then casting on the stitches that I need instead of trying to figure out everything. But I also I want to follow a pattern. I don't want to do math. Clearly I had too much coffee, because if I had had tea, I wouldn't be chitter chattering like this, but clearly I've just had too much coffee. At any rate, I love the yarn. This is from Explore Knits and Fibers. I don't know the colorway. Probably Don't Be Jelly, from one of the collections that I purchased last year or earlier this year. So yeah, we'll see. When I twisted the stitches up here, I got a really tight up here. But then it's so hard for my kids, both of them, to get the foot in there. So what I think I'm going to do is, and this is Patton's sock yarn from a big box store. I could have got it at Joann's or Michael's. This is super soft and woolly, and I love it. But you know, I don't know. I'm confused. I'm confused. This is the second sock, which looks so much nicer. But I just would have liked tighter stitches. These are actually tight if I'm only doing stockinette, but if I'm adding the ribbed front, the garter stitch rib on the front, not garter stitch, just the purls on the front, then you don't get tightness. So maybe it'll all work out if I'm just doing stockinette. I'll find out. At any rate, I'm into socks. At any rate, that's the whole point of this, is that socks are cool. If you're on the fence about becoming a sock knitter, get off the fence and do it. It's cool. There's lots of tutorials out there, And like I took a class because I'm a visual learner, audio visual learner, and I'm also an analytic learner. So I need to know how the steps go together. And every time I'm fascinated. And the pattern for the Rye Light socks, super duper simple, easy, never, I mean, like tin can knits is really, if you're a beginning knitter, I have to recommend them. I have to recommend their patterns because that was like super duper easy. And like only thing I needed to go online to look at was how to do Kitchener stitch, which I found from Very Pink Knits on YouTube. So that'll be linked in the description box below. Everything is linked in the description box below. So don't worry. I got you covered. Let's see, the second thing, that's the second thing. This was the first thing. The third thing that I made is a design that I'm in the process of writing and probably making again. I just have to say that, where's the back? Here's the back. This is my pattern. It is a cropped top. I love it. It's a transitional piece. I've been wearing it, but I haven't yet formally written down all the patterns. I mean, all the sizes for all the patterns. So I hope to do that soon. And then, 1 minute. Okay, so where was I? I was saying that I haven't written all of, I have the numbers and everything. I just need to put it into a pattern, yeah. And then send it to a tech editor. This is my first ever pattern and I'm very excited about it, but I'm also extremely nervous and I struggle with anxiety and depression. And right now I'm in a depressive mode, kind of. So I've kind of been like back and forth with like, no one cares, you know, like no one cares about your pattern. Nobody likes you, you know? And I'm like, that's not true, you know, because now I'm old enough to know that like, that's not true. People like you, you know? It's very difficult being depressed. So my heart goes out to anybody who's depressed. I use the fiber arts to help me not be depressed. Even when I'm having a challenging moment, like with socks and gauge and all that stuff, it's still like very mentally stimulating. So I don't have to feel like, you know, like a failure. You know, I don't feel like a failure in the area of learning. And maybe that's because that's the one thing I love to do is learning. I love learning new things, which is why I'm always doing it. I'm always learning something. So, yeah. But yeah, I use it. This, just the accomplishment of finishing something that you can wear. Like this is not 100% made start to finish by me, you know, but most of it was, and that's just cool. So yeah, so I definitely, if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, picking up some kind of craft or, you know, art form that really kind of lets you release that tension and be as creative as you want to be. And that could be music, that could be all kinds of stuff. But for me, this is, and I go through phases, you know, I'm a very creative person. So I definitely go through phases of like not wanting to do X and doing Y, not wanting to do Y and doing Z, you know, different things. So, so those are my 3 projects. I'll be talking more about my sweater pattern in the next episode. I was gonna wear it, but then I felt like a fraud, and I don't want to feel like a fraud on my own channel, own show. So I just wore this and my Star Wars shirt, which I look cute in. I look cute today. So let's talk about spinning. I purchased some wool a long time ago from Akara Yarns, and I'm spinning socks with it. So I did a little segment earlier this month. Yeah, just showing like my sampling, and I'd like to show that to you. So let's see that. Hi. My daughter is asleep, so I thought I would come on and kind of show you what I'm doing today. Let me get a sip of tea. It's not strong enough. I think I might have to go back to coffee. Today's August 3rd, and I'm going to attempt to do some samples for this sock yarn that I have. That tea really works in warming the body. So I just made a cake today, so I had to clean that off. We're just gonna do it on my lap because it doesn't, yeah, if I stay still it'll be fine. This bundle is 25 grams. This bundle is 40 grams. It's a significant difference. And this bundle is 43 grams. And we started off with 100 grams. So we're gonna do a 2-ply sock yarn. That's 50 grams each to make it easy peasy lemon squeezy. So I'm just gonna pull off a piece and measure it and see if we can get, that's 5 grams. Pulls apart so easy. That's 10. So this will go with the little one. This little one will go together. Okay, so we got disconnected. But I have about, hold on a second. My dog needed to get on the bed. And I oblige her. She's old enough to get the things she wants. She don't need to fuss with me. I don't need to fuss with her. So it said it was 100 grams, but there's a few grams extra. So now I get to do a little test. So the first test I'm gonna do is grab a little piece and I'm gonna pull a piece off. And I'm just checking the staple length. Adding a little twist. It's pretty strong. Oh, this is a lovely yarn. This is a lovely fiber, I should say. Has a really good sound to it. It doesn't sound bad. It sounds like it's good. I bought this a while ago. Okay, so let me just So that's my sock spinning. So I also have a long-term project that I'd like to share with you. I'm not sure if you know, but Jojo Locatelli came out with a beautiful pattern for a lace shawl. It doesn't have charts in it. It's just written out. She said it's a simple pattern. I'm a beginning knitter. I made mistakes in this. So, so that's my long-term project. Let's talk a little bit more about it. What is a long-term project, Lindsay? A long-term project for me is a project that I buy the fiber for, I have a pattern for, and then I make it. Because spinning takes a nice long time, and knitting or crocheting takes a good amount of time. And so that kind of slows down the process all the way. And it really gives me an opportunity to learn something new. So the technique that I tried on this long-term project was spinning short backward. Short backward, if I have a video of me spinning short backward, I'll insert it here. It's where you're drafting the fiber backwards, like away from the spinning orifice, and then smoothing it down, pulling back, smoothing it down, pulling it back, smoothing it down. And that is a fast way to spin. Short forward is a short way to spin. And I demonstrated short forward in the sock yarn segment when I was spinning that. So I purchased 8 ounces of fiber from Hello Yarn in the colorway Parched. And I have, well, first we'll say I have this much left. This is about 2 ounces, 1 ounce each. Give me a second. And this is the colorway. It's such a beautiful brown. I saw that Jojo Locatelli had done the pattern. So the pattern that I'm doing is from Jojo Locatelli, and it's almost the same exact brown. And I'm really into browns right now. I'm really into like the earth tones. So yeah, so I'm very excited about that. Finishing that, which is for my birthday. I'm finishing that for my birthday. What I have from it is this. I have this beautiful yarn. It's kind of fuzzy right now. It is a sport weight yarn. It is spun short backward, like I was saying. It's very, but I know what you're thinking, because you're not thinking it, but you can think it. This is 8515 Polworth and silk, Tussa silk. If I had spun it short forward, it would be a little bit shinier because of the silk, but I spun it short backward, so it's not as shiny. I spun it, now why did I spin it short backward? One, it was something that I wanted to practice and learn. But the second reason that I spun it short backward is because I was going for a partly woolen, partly worsted spun yarn. If you spin short forward, it's 100%, and you're drafting it from comb top, which is where all of the fibers go in one direction. So all these fibers are going in one direction. They're not mixed up and jumbled together, which would be a woolen spun preparation. But this was a comb top. I spun it short backward because I just wanted it to have a little bit more air in it and to be a little bit more insulating, because woolen spun yarn that's spun where all of the fibers are every which away, and you're kind of doing, I can't do it. I can't do the long draft method where you just have your yarn on there and you just the twist goes into the yarn and then you just wind it on, and it's magic. I don't know it yet. I'm gonna learn it next year because I really want to get into woolen spun yarns next year. But I have these. Right now, this is 352 yards, 333 yards, and 225 yards, which I'm sure equals 700 if I if I knew how to add or subtract. I don't know what my problem is. At any rate, I'm still spinning that because I have to practice how to make lace because I've never made it. So I'm going to be practicing. So this is why I love a long-term project. This was short backward spun, which was a new technique for me. Lace is a new technique for me, and also lifelines will be a new technique for me. So 3 new techniques that I get to practice at length in one project. And it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun to have a long-term project because, you know, like, there's no pressure to finish. All you're doing is taking manageable chunks and moving forward. So I'm going to write the pattern for my design and finish spinning my sock yarn fiber, finish spinning my fiber for my Jojo Locatelli long-term project, which is some me time, and the some me time shawl. We have a train close by, which we love because we used to live in New York before we moved here. So a lot of cool things going on in my life, despite the depressive episode. But I'm just excited to take manageable bites of things, you know. So before we go, I always like to have a children's book recommendation. It's right over there. So let me grab it real quick. And because I have 2 small children and we frequent the library often, it's a lot of fun. So let me get the book. So the book that I'm recommending today, we've kept for a while. I know that the Chinese New Year, because when the mooncakes come, I'm always like, on my Instagram feed, I'm always like, oh my goodness, the mooncakes, you know? And I always want to make one or eat one or whatever, but I have no idea what's going on. So I think I'm going to do some research. You know, the Chinese New Year came, and then the high holidays came. I'm Jewish. So then the high holidays came. Sukkot just ended, which we didn't erect a sukkah, you know? So, I mean, we could have, but the last 2 years have really just sucked life right out of me. So when I have time to do something, I would love to erect a sukkah next year. Maybe that'll be a personal goal. Like, I'm gonna actually take time to do the 10 days of all right from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, and then erect a sukkah and then relax. Sukkah sounds like sookie when I say it, right? Never mind that. The book. So this is Amy Wu and the Perfect Boa. So this book was just, it's like in a holiday section, in the kids section, which I love our library and the kids section. So the holiday section had this book and I decided to pick it up. The kids love it. It's so nice. So this is Amy Wu and the Perfect Boa by Zhang, illustrated by Charlene Chua. And this book, let me just read the first page so you can get a thing, get a feeling for it. Amy can do a lot of things. She can brush her teeth. She can tie her shoe. She can even do both at once, sort of. But there's one thing Amy cannot do. She cannot make the perfect boa. And then it goes into a story of that. I adore this book. So if we really like it, we'll purchase it. But here's, at the end of the book is Amy's family recipe. And I'm a vegetarian, so there's meat in this, so I would make a vegetarian boa. There is, however, put you on game. Is that what they used to say? I'm gonna link down below a link to Mary's Test Kitchen. She has, I think it's pronounced char siu bao, which is like the pork bao with the red dye. She has a vegan recipe for it. I've never made it because it is intense. You have to make the dough, you have to make the other stuff separate, and in her recipe you make seitan. So you could actually substitute that for something like a meat, like a like a manufactured meat, fake meat kind of thing that you can buy at the store. That stuff is not my favorite stuff to eat. You know, like digestively. So, but she has a recipe that's a little bit more all natural and things. So I'm going to link that below. She's fantastic. So I'm going to endorse her. She doesn't have to pay me for an endorsement. I love watching her videos. I love watching cooking videos. I love cooking because I love eating. Not right now. I'm not really into eating. When you're depressed, you're like, oh, I'll just drink some water and take a nap. But, which is not good. But let me just say thank you so much for watching episode 2 of this ridiculousness. That is me. I had another channel on YouTube and I deleted all those videos off by accident. I'm still mad or frustrated or whatever words you want to use, but if I linger on it, I'll just upset myself. So we're going to move forward. So thank you so much. This is my place on the internet where I discuss all things fantastic, lovely, and sometimes serious. Life is serious sometimes. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you join me next month. I do this monthly because I have to make things and then show you. So, and I'm a mom, so I like to do the parenting thing first. So I'll see you next month and have a great fiber time. Bye.